what's happened in the last couple of days in the Adelson case?
First off, I think I'm a current lawyer, Matt. If I'm a former lawyer, maybe there's something that you need to tell me about, maybe something I need to know.
Sorry about that, buddy.
I'm just totally teasing you. I think it's just great. Look, so this Adelson trial is something else, man. We've got these videos, we've got audios, we've got wiretaps, we've got it all in this trial. And the prosecution is working its way methodically through this evidence. Sometimes, Matt, as you know, and as Jonna, of course, knows, when you're prosecuting a case, you have things that, sometimes we just call them a wart, right? The case is not perfect. And one of the things that a smart prosecutor might do is to try to bring out some of these things during their presentation of evidence so that when the defense hammers on it, you kind of have taken the sting out a little bit. And in that site we just heard, that recording from one of the wiretaps, you essentially have Charlie Adelson telling his mother, that she didn't do anything wrong and she's got nothing to worry about. And so I think that what that was a prosecutor's effort to kind of take the sting out of this so that this piece of it, which doesn't exactly support their case, doesn't have as much weight to be given to it when the defense gets around to their case and to cross-examination on this point, so that the jury kind of takes it in stride and it doesn't sink the case, because it actually, this particular piece of it is what we would call exculpatory as to Donna Adelson. But on balance, I think this trial is going along great, and I look forward to seeing what the prosecutor has next.
So, Jonna, what are your views on this? What does the defense have to work with in your mind? What is the prosecution? What points have they scored so far? What are your thoughts?
I have a slightly different opinion of the last shot that we just saw than my good friend Phil as well. And here's what I think. I wouldn't call that piece of evidence so far a war. I think what the prosecution has many, many dots that they need to connect in this case, and they are connecting them. It's just not, as we all know, it doesn't line up in a nice, simple, linear line. Like, they're connecting a dot here, then they're connecting a dot there. And what they're trying to do circumstantially is show the involvement of Donna Adelson in this gigantic scheme. And they're doing it through all of their witnesses. This last piece of evidence that we saw on that SOT, I think can cut both ways. Yes, is it exculpatory? And in one sense, if you think that a convicted killer telling a potential killer on trial that she didn't do anything wrong is exculpatory. But maybe a juror could look at that and say, well, this just shows another level of involvement in this granny sitting at the defense table. I think the prosecution is doing a pretty good job of trying to weave this all together. And what I think the defense did was something very surprising. It might have been yesterday when they really went at Wendy Adelson, who is the defendant's daughter. They kind of went at her like a pit bull, showing no mercy. But Wendy was cool as a cucumber. I don't know if anybody had a chance to see that testimony.
So I'm going to toss this one back to Phil. When you're talking about cases like this, does the defense have to notify the prosecution if the defendant is going to testify? When will we know one way or another if Donna Adelson is going to take the stand?
No, we won't know until it actually happens. And interestingly enough, a few weeks ago in one of the last pretrial hearings, she announced that she was planning to testify. And now she's not obligated to testify. The defense never has any burden to produce any evidence or anything like that. The burden is on the prosecutor, and it never shifts to the defense. She has an absolute right to remain silent. And I think the best strategy is, between a criminal defendant and their lawyers, wait and see how the prosecutor's case goes up. And then you can decide whether or not you think your client should or maybe needs to testify, because a lot of times they can be their own worst enemy. Sometimes the case is going great for the defense until the defendant opens his or her mouth, and then the whole thing goes to hell. So it's one of these things where we won't know until the last minute. She's announced that she's going to testify, but that could be just a tactic to try to throw the prosecutor off. Although, a good prosecutor is going to prepare for either scenario. And I promise you, if she testifies, the cross-examination is going to be something that you could probably sell tickets to.
What do you think, Jonna? You've cross-examined about 1 million people over the course of your career. And from people I've talked to, you are deadly in the courtroom. I haven't seen that yet, but I haven't seen you in court. If you had to put Vegas odds on this, what do you think at this point? Are we going to see Donna Adelson on the stand? And part two of that, is she going to throw her daughter Wendy under the bus? What do you think?
She's already tried to in the cross-examination of Wendy. I think she tried to do that and did it a little bit. And sidebar, my favorite part of any trial is cross-examining witnesses. I know a lot of us think that, closing argument's my favorite part. No. I love cross-examining witnesses, and I love cross-examining them hard. And you're going to have to do this in this case if you're in Donna's camp. This is really funny because in the beginning, in the in the opening statement, or not even, in voir dire, when the prosecution was asking potential jurors, hey, do you think you can convict a granny? I thought that was a little bit unnecessary. But as we watch this trial, you guys, she does present like a little granny, even though the testimony is far different. We know from the testimony of her daughter that she was a very controlling, involved, in a sense, grown-up helicopter mom, right? From everything from her daughter's dating habits to, what the kids would do. She was involved, way too involved. And so that's not granny-ish. That's, very bullish. But as she sits there, just the optics, she looks kind of frail and unassuming. Jurors are watching her. They always do. So I'm interested when we fast forward into the future, when we get a verdict, if any jurors will have a comment on that specifically.